Ivory Coast. This will be the first match of the day, but I want us to settle into the second match of the day. That is Senegal taking on Ivory Coast. Now, I want us to quickly run through, Cedric, the form guide of Senegal coming into this competition. We ran through the form guide of Senegal coming into this competition. And remember, the Lions of Teranga have not lost a match so far in the competition. Their first match was a 3-0 win against Gambia. It was a 3-1 win against Cameroon and a 2-0 win against Guinea. Now, players to watch. Cedric, I want us to run through this. The Senegalese players that will be paying some particular attention to this evening. You cannot talk about Senegal, the Lions of Teranga at the moment, without mentioning Sadio Mane. You have Ismail Sarr, you have Kalidou Koulibaly. What do you have to say about this player, Cedric?
It's a totally complete oily team that has got all departments working for them. And that brings confidence. Because if you have players who can carry ball from defense and supply to the offensive line, which is, and again, equally good enough to punch those those targets ball that are needed behind the net, it really gives a team confidence. And if you go by right now, unlike the yesteryears,
yes,
they have not picked any injury. They have come into the tournament. We haven't heard of any injury, apart from Kouyaté, the demises that he before about him losing his father. That has not really make Senegal actually to lose that concentration that it's used for.
Sadio Mane has been a shadow of the Sadio Mane that we knew. Yeah. But he's still very, very influential in this game tonight. He will be influential.
To the essence that Sadio Mane is playing in a pool of stars, a pool of people who can supply. Remember, if they deny him balls, is when we will still now seeing the Sadio Mane struggling. But right now, remember Sadio Mane playing just in front of the likes of Papa Matassa, in front of the likes of defensive midfielder Papa Gueye.
Yes.
And in that front line, they have all the danger lines. We have the Ismail Sarr trading at the right, in the right side. At the center, they have the likes of Diallo.
Crepin, yes, there's Diallo, and then at the back you have Crepin Diata.
You see, these are kind of players that can really make Sadio Mane even shine better in this particular tournament. Because anyone who will be focusing on Sadio Mane will be giving them a chance to pump. And we have seen that. The 3 goals we are talking about Cameroon, Sadio Mane just came in later to score when these guys have already opened up the goal scoring opportunities. That means when you focus on Sadio Mane, Ismail Sarr becomes dangerous.
Yes.
When you focus on Sadio Habib Diallo, becomes equally dangerous because he's there in the front number 9. And remember, at some points, I like even the tactic that sometimes Aliou Cisse is really deploying in this particular tournament. Aliou Cisse at some point is bringing the Abdou Diallo, who is a centre-back,
Speaking of centre-backs, Senegal has only conceded 1 goal this tournament, and that was that 3-1 win against Cameroon. What do you have to say about Koulibaly and what he brings into this encounter tonight before we take a look at Ivory Coast? Briefly.
You know, fair enough is that they have really conceded 1 goal, not necessarily playing with all of their fullback, as in their back 4 being natural defenders. Remember, they are deploying Crepin Diata at fullback 2, and he's not naturally a winger. But I know why. Maybe they are doing that because they want that wing to be a speedy winger, just similarly as happening to Morocco. If you go by the Koulibaly, the experience he's bringing into this Senegal, because he has been in Senegal since 2018, played in World Cup, has played in 2 World Cup, has played in Africa Cup of Nations and won it. He is here actually to carry the team to the mantle and maybe write a history. A player who has traded in all along and maybe taken Senegal today to Africa Cup of the final and maybe happened to win twice in that particular final. He's been trading with equally one of the best defender in this particular tournament, which is Abdi Dia, and he's a utility compared to him. Abdi Dia can trade as a midfielder. At the same time, he can play as a centre back, and then he can as well as maybe run to the flank and play as a wing back. He's so much blessed to, if it comes to bringing the value that is required in that particular pitch. Ismail Jacob, who is playing as a wing back, equally he can as well as be providing Sadio Mane with those balls that he's required when he operates and trying to overlap and bring dangerous crosses. We call the diagonal crosses into the box. Those are the things that this team is.
I want us to go. I want us to move to Ivory Coast. Of course, these are the players to watch. That is Boga, Casey, and Crasso. But I want us to quickly run through their form guide in this tournament, how they've performed. Remember, their first match, they got a 2-0 win against Guinea-Bissau. Then it was a 1-0 loss to Nigeria and a 4-0 loss to Ivory Coast. Cedric, briefly, very brief, what are you expecting from the hosts tonight?
It's a weak team if exposed at the back. Remember, they have been tested by Equatorial Guinea that they can really soak in 4 goals in a match.
Yes.
They have even written history for one of the first ever hosts who have really conceded 4 goals.
Yes.
Trading against an underdog. That's the danger that this team should be carrying. And I think that's the danger that they are aware of. They will be facing one of the best front three. They need to be equally at the best of their capacity to contain the likes of Sadio Mane, Ismail Sarr, and Diallo. And if we maybe the midfield, the likes of Kesi, they need to bring in their A game to ensure that they contain that particular midfield. Because remember, they will be battling for that midfield with the likes of Papa Matessa, Pape Guye, in that particular midfield. They need actually to be so much, and also the pressure that they will be receiving from the terraces.
Fans, yes. The 12th man.
If they can't contain that pressure, can work. Remember, I think Equatorial Guinea happens actually to trounce against Ivory Coast, basically basing on the pressure this team was facing. At the moment they conceded that particular 1 goal, they started now going forward thinking that they can equalize. Not bearing in mind that they were leaving so much gap at the behind that really ended up punishing them.
The other fixture, of course, we'll see Cape Verde take on Mauritania. I want us to quickly run through the form guide for Cape Verde and Mauritania in this competition. We begin with Cape Verde. Remember, the first match was against Ghana, and they got a 2-1 win. The second match, they got a 3-0 win against Mozambique, and then a 2-2 draw against Egypt. And now, on Mauritania's side, they narrowly made it into the round of 16. They lost to Burkina Faso. That was their first match. They said they lost to Angola, that cracker that ended 3-2, and then they got a 1-0 win against Nigeria and qualified to the round of 16 for the first time in the history of Mauritania. So, Cedric, we've come to prediction time. Cape Verde, Mauritania, who's winning?
Cape Verde will win against Mauritania.
And finally, Senegal versus Ivory Coast.
A tough one. Senegal will win against Ivory Coast.
Senegal will win against Ivory Coast. The Lion against the Elephant. We'll be waiting to see who will win that. Is it going to be the defending champions, the Lions of Teranga, or is it going to be the Elephants of Ivory Coast? Thank you very much, Cedric, for giving us insights on the matches that were played yesterday and, of course, what to expect this evening on the 2 matches that we have.